In a dramatic move that has sent ripples through Kenya's political landscape, President William Ruto has fired almost his entire cabinet, leaving only Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi in their posts. The decision, announced on Thursday, comes amidst weeks of anti-government protests sparked by a controversial tax bill and a deepening economic crisis. The president, in a televised address from State House Nairobi, stated that the decision was made upon reflection and a holistic appraisal of his cabinet. He acknowledged that the recent protests had brought the country to an inflection point, necessitating decisive action. Even with the progress we've made, I'm acutely aware that the people of Kenya have very high expectations of me, and they believe that this administration can undertake the most extensive transformation in our nation's history, Ruto said, outlining his commitment to forming a broad-based, new government through extensive consultations. The move comes after weeks of escalating tensions, with protests turning violent and claiming the lives of at least 40 people in clashes with police. Demonstrators, angered by the proposed tax hikes, even stormed Parliament, forcing legislators to flee. The National Council of Churches of Kenya, representing some of the country's largest churches and religious organizations, had joined the chorus of voices calling for a cabinet shake-up, citing concerns about bad governance and allegations of corruption within the administration. The president has himself said that his cabinet is incompetent, said Reverend Chris Kinyanjui, the Council of Churches General Secretary. Kenyans are saying he has an incompetent cabinet, and in addition, many members of his cabinet are also corrupt. Ruto, facing mounting pressure, withdrew the proposed tax increases, but many Kenyans remain deeply dissatisfied with the government's handling of the economic crisis. They hold the cabinet accountable for the country's burgeoning debt and the rising cost of living. The president's decision to dismiss almost his entire cabinet has been met with a mixture of hope and skepticism. Let us see what happens now if the new ministers deal with big issues around corruption and just the arrogance and excess of his administration and the fact that a lot of Kenyans died during the demonstrations, said veteran anti-corruption activist John Githongo. Hopefully, this should temporarily calm things. Ojengo Amandi, a community activist from the Social Justice Center's working group in Nairobi, echoed the sentiment, saying, "It's one thing to dismiss, the second is to ensure that the people that will be chosen in the cabinet are accountable to the Constitution and the rule of law." While the cabinet purge may provide a temporary respite from the protests, it remains to be seen whether it will address the deeper economic and political issues at the heart of the unrest. Ruto's government has been grappling with a difficult balancing act, trying to appease international lenders like the IMF, who are demanding deficit cuts, while also addressing the concerns of a population struggling with rising costs of living. The president's recent proposal to reduce government expenditures, including merging key ministries and state corporations, banning the purchase of government vehicles for 12 months, and suspending non-essential travel by state and public officers, has been met with mixed reactions. Analysts suggest that the tax rollback, while a concession to protesters, may lead to Kenya missing IMF targets, despite the country's manageable debt levels. The budget deficit is now projected at 4.6% of GDP in the fiscal year that began on July 1. The coming weeks will be crucial for Ruto as he navigates this turbulent period. The success of his new government will depend on his ability to address the concerns of the people, restore confidence in his administration, and chart a course towards a more stable and prosperous future for Kenya.